then I got to update the things. We're going to pivot to just a little bit of Risk of Rain. I think I can squeeze in like maybe 1 or 2 runs before. 1 or 2 runs before the end of the show. If it wants to work. Risk of Rain. Boop. Boop. And then we'll go ahead and get game. No. Stay on this. Always got to remember to switch it to studio mode. Okay, and then switch back. And then studio, and then that, and then. Boop, boop. Oh, what? And then I got to do one more thing. I gotta hit stop. Okay. Okay. Alright. We are gonna play with my favorite character. We're gonna play with the loader. And we're gonna keep everything the same. You know, let's go for a medium run. Oh. Let me turn Pretzel off too. Thank goodness it showed up in chat. Ooh, okay. Okay, let's go. Now I really like Risk of Rain too. I played it the other day with my friend Jared. And he was playing as this character, and this is like one of my favorite characters. I'm about to go off the edge, but that's just fine. So the nice thing about this character is that they have no fall damage. Oh, there's the teleporter. Nice. I mean, this character is great because you're basically Spider-Man. And by basically, I mean you are Spider-Man. It's awesome. Pretty much. I think it's coming through good. Yes. Okay, cool, cool. I haven't seen any enemies yet, though. A little surprising. One second, Jet. And there we go. The movement mechanics on this character are so good. It's like Doomfist and Spider-Man had a wee babby. You just can like grapple dudes, and then you also can like do like a sweet like rocket style punch. Character is very anime in my opinion. It's dope. Whoa! Oops. Just skirted myself up the edge. Skirt back up the edge, yeah. What's really cool though is you can grapple enemies while they're in the air, and you can use them as like a sweet point, and then you can just flap around them. So good. It's just hilarious. And you're like a little slow and like kind of like chonky at the beginning. You're like, it's a little bit of a slower character. But eventually like you can get like power-ups and upgrades and stuff as you're playing that you become like super like mobile. It's great. You're just sliding over the landscape. It's dope. Oh, that's a very good get. That's also very good. It's very good. And skirt. Played a bunch of the first Risk of Rain, which is a good game too. Much different. It's a 2D like platformer style experience, as opposed to this, which is I gotta fix my mic. As opposed to this, which is a third person like fighting game basically, or shooter? I don't know. It depends on the character that you're playing as, really, I guess. I'm really having trouble finding some chests, though. Give me that heal drone, yes. Yes, yes. Get it. Sweet. Man, I'm really not finding like any chests. It's pretty weird. Oh, here's something. Two teddy bears or that. I'll take that. Finally, a sprint upgrade. Gun it, boys. It's the fuzz. Oh god. A bunch of enemies. Early game is like, I feel like some of the most dangerous because the game rapidly progresses due to like, so you'll notice up in the top right there's a bar that is incrementing as time is passing, and the longer you're playing for, the harder the game gets. Like enemy HP increases, more elites spawn, etc., etc. So you're at maximum level difficulty, and the game is quite difficult. So you really want to keep it as low as possible, basically. So the great thing about this character, despite the fact that they are a melee unit, they have survivability in that whenever they get hit with or whenever they punch with an attack, they get an armor shield. However, it doesn't work super well against like status effect style stuff, as you're seeing, because I'm getting my kind of ass kicked a little bit by enemies attacking me. Oh shit! I think I'm gonna die. I'm dead. I almost feel like I just didn't get enough items to begin with. Let's go get them. Start from the top. That hook was really good too. That's really unfortunate I couldn't take advantage of that. No. Let's get it. Running around punching dudes. So I've only ever beaten this game on the easy difficulty. I've never beaten it on medium or hard or what have you, or with any of the modifiers active. So this is probably going to prove to be a challenge. Probably going to die again if I had to guess. Oh, that's a good get. Come here, you son of a bitch. Get down here. Whatever. Just eat electro death. I'm gonna get this. Hopefully that'll generate some passive income for me. See an enemy up there. Serious? That's something useful, but I don't have any money now. Fuck. Okay. Give me something good. That's good. Such a good thing. I love the graphics and the visual effects in this game. So cool. Oh, I guess we're going up. Like, I love how the rocket launcher thing has actually just been added to my back. Like, it's just stuck onto my backpack. It's super cool. The fact that the designers did that for like all the items, and that they'll just like tack onto your character is, I think, a really neat little touch. also very nice. I see so many items, and I want them, but I don't have any money yet. I'm scared that if I go and fight the boss again without having any money, then I'll just get wrecked. Hopefully this will just take care of some of those issues. Okay, that's gotten me some money. There are just like several chests all over the place. I want them all. Reduced incoming damage while sprinting. That's okay. Okay. Could be better. Could be worse. Could be busting fungus. Yeah, could have been busting fungus. Ooh, shit. Almost skirted off the edge there. Well, that's good. That'd be good in close range. Whoa! That's fun. Let's get my ass skirted. Skirt. That 70 base damage per strike is pretty strong. I think I'm gonna need a little bit more money. Oh, JTTG is raiding with a party of 8. Honey Diz, turn off my pain inhibitors. Turn off my pain inhibitors. Timbo, hey JTTG. Hey Jonas, how are you doing today? Hey Ray, turn off my pain inhibitors. Hey Mile Mary, how are you doing? Turn off your pain inhibitors. I'm gonna guess. I'm gonna just take a wild guess. Were you playing Digimon Cyber Sleuth? I need to feel it. Oh wait, no, pain inhibitors. It must be. It's got to be Revengeance. It's got to be. Wait, Beyblades? Let her rip. Jack's back. I feel like we're just having like a little bit of like a pop culture aneurysm now. all the references. Launch it all. Fire everything we got. Oh man. Well, thank you so much for the raid, Jonas. I really, really appreciate you, brother. I hope you had a good stream as well. We're just playing a little bit of Risk of Rain. I spent the first 2 hours of the stream trying to figure out what to do in what's it called in Hollow Knight. Couldn't figure it out. That's a fun alert. Oh, I'm good. I'm glad you like the alert. I'm glad you like it. Yeah, thanks again. I really do appreciate it. What were you playing on your stream, if you don't mind me asking? I know you've been playing Revengeance and a little bit of. Oh, you got it. Oh, hey Jamie. How you doing, brother? I know you've been playing Revengeance and a little bit of Cyber Sleuth. Also Control. Oh shit. No. You can't touch me while I'm in the air, son. Oh, I'm frozen. Okay. See, now we're safe. Can't hurt me at all when I'm on top of him. Metal Gear Rising today. Yes, should have known. I should have realized to turn off my pain inhibitors. I personally haven't played Revengeance, although I did follow like the hype train a little bit when it was coming out, because I was like, it's a game where you can cut anything any way that you want. How fucking cool is that? But I know some of the memes from it, like I don't want to spoil it, but I know like at one point you fight like a cool robo dog or something crazy. Like I thought that was pretty cool. It's on my list of platinum games to play. Same with the new. God, I almost said Pikmin. Now I'm just picturing a platinum game made by a Pikmin game made by Platinum. But what I was really gonna say was Wonderful 101, which I caught the end of on your stream, which was really good. He is called Wolf. Yes. Okay, good. Because I was like, I don't want to get to the part because I think you might get him as like a pet eventually, right? Like, yeah, so cool, sweet ass Robo Dog. Hell yeah. Action plus Pikmin. Yeah, that's kind of the vibe I got from that game, right? Pikmin Platinum. Oh man, I should really play the third Pikmin too. I haven't played that one, but I really like the first and the second one. And I have a Switch. I feel like it's my duty to do so. My duty as a as a Nintendo consumer. Whee! Is there? Oh, there's a Strone right here. Trying to see if there's anything more. Yeah, I mean, who wouldn't love a sweet robot action hound that's badass? You know what it reminds me of? It's like the Steel Defender like archetype from for Artificer in D&D, because you get like a sweet Robo Dog, the coolest of all Robo Dogs. Oh god. Eep! Oh, my foot was in it. Man, I haven't played the Battlesmith Artificer subclass, but it looks like a lot of fun. The last Artificer I played, I was playing it was the playtest version of the Artificer, so it wasn't the official Eberron version that came out. But the version that I was playing was an alchemist, but the main drive behind that alchemist was that I had reflavored it completely so that he was a chef. One, I want some spicy Risk of Rain. Two, final boss lore. Oh. Hey, Enrique. I don't know anything about the final boss lore of this game. I assume that I think he's like the captain of the ship originally, who's been like distorted through time and dimensions. But I have no idea. But I'm open to learning the lore of this game. I think you might just be like lost in space, but I'm not 100% on that. But the last Artificer I played, he was the alchemist subclass, but I had reimagined or what's the word that I'm looking for? Basically, I just flavored it all as oh man, I don't have enough money. I reflavored it as he was a chef and he used monster parts for his different cooking. So like he had like a little fire thing that he could shoot out, and it would do like area damage of flame, and I had like flavored it that was like dragon breath hot sauce or something like that. All right, Inhale. So basically, Mithrix and Providence, the final bosses from Risk of Rain 1 and 2, were born and were stuck on a planet, the setting of both games. When they discover teleportation, Mithrix goes in the primordial portal to the moon first. Mithrix was, simply put, a jerk to Providence, so when Mithrix was on the moon, Providence closed the portal, leaving Mithrix stuck there for centuries. Oh, that's super interesting. Because I played the first Risk of Rain. I only ever beat it like once. And maybe I didn't even beat it that one time, now that I think about it. I might have just gotten to the boss fight and died. But that is really interesting. I didn't know that. Like, I really like the way that this game does its lore and like the telling of its story, where it uses kind of like these set pieces or like environmental storytelling, and then like logs too. Like the logs are really well written. Some of them are really fun. Lurking around, buddy. Oh, absolutely. Thanks again for the raid, Jonas. I super appreciate it. Happy for the lurk. Oh yeah, Risk of Rain. It's a good game. It's pretty difficult, but it's fun. Especially if you like roguelikes. If you're a roguelike fan, I would say that this would be right up your alley. A lot of people, I feel like, have kind of slept on Risk of Rain 2 a little bit, for reasons that I'm not sure of. But it's a good game. I enjoy it. The way that they've handled the different items and the way that items combine together it was a really interesting one, because like I know in like lots of roguelikes, oh my, it seems I have been teleported via a raid. Hey hey Simmershi. How are you doing today? Can I say, like, I lurk in your channel occasionally, and I really like your like VTuber setup. I think that's really, really cool. It's one of those things that is like totally like a foreign concept and thing to me, but I think is really, really neat. I think that's dope. But thanks for coming along in the raid. I appreciate you. There's another game that just left early access that's like Hades that I should try. Is it Hades, or is it a different game? Oh, thanks, Timbo. I had no idea I wasn't following you. LMAO. Good thing the raid happened. Agreed. Give me 1 second as well. Oop. Oh god. That's like Hades that I should try. I mean, you've got my attention for sure. I'm having trouble. Gonna go disappear now, but I must deal more lore. Absolutely, yes. Lore, the lore's not gonna, it's not gonna, it's not gonna debby out itself. Definitely, absolutely. Godspeed, Godspeed. And thank you so much, Simmer Sheep, for the follow. I appreciate you. I'm gonna make sure that I'm following you too, because I'm not sure if I am. Let me double check. I don't know what's going on with Twitch. Sometimes I'm following people and then I check later and I'm not following. I don't get it. Oh, see, that's one of those times. There we go. Thanks again. I feel like I've kind of. Oh, you're too kind. You're too kind. I feel like I'm a fairly new streamer. I've been streaming since like mid-January, so I've only been streaming for like a couple months at this point at most. And like I'm still like I used to hang out in some communities and stuff like on Twitch before diving into streaming myself. But it's like it's just one of those things where it's just like I feel like there's this kind of aspect of human experience that I find really fascinating, is that like human experience can kind of be infinite in a lot of ways. Like, and I feel like the same is true about streaming, because it's like there are so many different people that are doing so many different and wild things, like VTuber stuff and like doing really interesting community stuff, like it's, which I find fascinating, you know. And like the depth of human experience like in stuff like this on like Twitch and other things is really like almost fundamentally infinite, because there's so many people out here producing so much content in such wild and different ways. It's like there's always somebody doing something really interesting and doing something that you may have never even freaking seen before, that like blows you away when you show up. Like I don't think I'd ever seen anybody doing like a full VTuber style suit before I came across your stream, and I was like, wow, that's like really cool that like it almost is doing like one-to-one motion capture. Like I'd heard of it before, but I never seen it like realized like the way that you're doing it on your stream, which I thought was really, really cool. Very neat. And just like I find that like where was I going? Like the idea that like human experience, like in terms of, and this is pivoting slightly off topic, but like human experience in terms of things such as like streaming or shared events, right? They can kind of be infinite, like in the same way that people are kind of infinite, in that there's just so much information and so many different like aspects and like things that that like you could spend basically your entire life dissecting all these different people's opinions and experiences and stuff, and even then you might not be done, right? Like there could still be more information and more facets to uncover as well. It's like fascinating. You have 69 followers. I do. Mary is indeed correct. Oh, now I have 70. Oh man, for a sweet moment there, we were at the perfect number. I love the communities I found through Twitch. Yeah, there's so many really, really cool people on Twitch too. Yeah, ever since I've stepped up into the communities, I feel like I don't normally use this term, but I feel like blessed to have found so many people that are so cool, you know, and that are so open and friendly, right? There's some really cool people in the communities and channels. Sorry to interrupt your deep moment. No. Feel free to interrupt away. If you don't do that, I'll just be talking ad nauseum about literal literal nothing. So no worries. I appreciate you. I'm glad you pointed that out, to be honest. That's hilarious. But yeah, I find that like the depth of one of the things that like really comes to mind that when talking about like this kind of thing is like when you talk about something like the World Wars, like World War II is almost like kind of from a content perspective, from like an information perspective, it's almost like functionally infinite, because there's so many different stories of different people that happen and different perspectives, and you might think that something happened in history for one reason, and then later on you come to find out, no, the reason why it happened was completely different, and I just like I find like there are so many different podcasts and stories about different people and soldiers and like units and civilians and stuff that existed in the world wars, that like the documentation of their lives and their experiences and stuff is almost like near infinite, right? Like it, like the ability to be able to pen all that information down is almost impossible because of the sheer like depth and spectrum of the human experience that was like occurred there. And you know, maybe it's not the most perfect metaphor, but like it is kind of interesting to me that like there are these similarities between these things, right? Where it's like there are so many different like perspectives and communities and like people that are involved in all these different levels. It's almost impossible to be able to really view the entire picture as a whole because there's just so much going on, right? It's super interesting. Curse of the Dead Gods. Oh yeah, I've seen that. That looks really, really interesting, that game. I've seen a couple of other streamers play it too, and it does have like this kind of Hades vibe with like a lot of really interesting, like mechanics driven, like content going on in it. That game does look really, really interesting. No problem, no problem. Yeah, so I know that feeling. Like sometimes I'll see a game that'll have like a trailer or something crazy, and I'll be like, oh my god, that looks amazing, and then I'll just completely forget that it exists, and then you know I'll have like that. I'll have that like brain blast moment, right, where it just like a sudden moment of like, oh wait, remember this thing that was a really cool thing that you kind of wanted to take a look at, and I'll be like, oh yeah, whatever happened to that, and then I'll just be digging for like ages trying to figure out whatever happened to that thing and whether or not it ever got made, or like if I can get it right. Yeah, I know that feeling. It's just like suddenly I remembered a thing that's cool. I want to go look at that thing. Is that thing still relevant? You know, that happened to me this weekend actually. Now that I think about it, I remember I was having a discussion with my partner, and we brought up we were talking about West of Loathing and how they thought it was a good idea to play West of Loathing on stream, and I was like, man, you know what I haven't thought of? Kingdom of Loathing. I haven't played Kingdom of Loathing in such a long time. That happened to Mistrich with the tabletop RPG Rutama. You know, this is the second time I've heard of Rutama as well, that it's been mentioned to me. I really got to look into that a little bit more. I think it was Dungeon Master that was like, yeah, we're kind of trying to veer a little bit away from D&D and more into like less problematic systems. And Rutama was like one of the first things that they recommended. I think that's right. And I should really take a look into that. For sure. But yeah, I was talking about we were talking about West of Loathing, which is like this really, really funny and charming, like very eclectic style. I guess it's kind of like a classic RPG in a weird way. Anyways, it's just this really, really bizarre, funny game. But it's based on this older Flash game called Kingdom of Loathing, which I played just like a bunch of when I was like a kid in like high school, and it was just like this really goofy, very silly world that was just very, very bizarre. It's just like, you know, it's just like one of those old internet things where it's like, I don't know whether or not this would have like flown nowadays, or whether or not it would have like had the level of success that it did back in the, like, if it came out nowadays. Like it just feels like it was one of those like initial kind of weird internet things, like Homestar Runner. Man, god, I love Homestar Runner. You know, it's just like, I really like, I mean, my mouse is freaking out. I really love that whole aspect of just like weird internet culture that existed in that time frame. Like it just like, such a fascinating encapsulation of of human culture. You know, like I talked about it a little bit earlier, about like how I feel like it's going to be very surreal in the future, like 10-15 years from now, when there's going to be like a book called like The History of Memes or something like that, right? Where it's like, it literally is discussing like when different memes came about, and like their duration and what they meant, and like the communities that popped up surrounding them and stuff. Like I feel like those books are going to be really, really fascinating, but they're also going to be just incredibly surreal, right? Where it's just like, I guess it's maybe because we lived through that history, you know, like as being, you know, millennials, right? And like kind of children of pop culture. I think I think it's going to be just one of those very surreal things of like, yeah, we lived through that, right? It was, we're so familiar with it because this is our, maybe not our culture, but like this is like the events that we lived through, you know, and that were relevant to our time, right? I think that it's going to be there's going to be some really interesting discourse about this, especially like meme culture has really like developed and evolved since like it was. There's been like multiple like evolutionary points for meme culture, which are like really interesting, you know, like how like archaic and strange older memes used to be and how niche they used to be. And now like I feel like even if you're like a little bit of a part of the older generation or what have you, or you're not even like an internet person, I feel like even now you know what a meme is, right? Like you might know what some popular memes are for one reason or another, which I think like the propagation of meme culture out into like regular culture is super interesting. Like oh god, the way that our pop culture or a way that meme culture has affected pop culture and as well as like culture at large and society at large is really interesting and also kind of scary, you know? Like it almost sometimes feels like culturally people are dicking with things that they don't really necessarily understand. Like there's like, ooh, thanks, Ray. I'm just gonna take a deep breath. Meme culture has changed humor so much. Yeah, hard agree on that. Thank you for the hydrate, by the way. Appreciate you. Meme culture in itself is really interesting too, because it's like it really feels like it really feels like the meme culture is now almost the newest front of like the culture war in general, right? Where it's like, because memes can be used as propaganda, absolutely. I'm pretty tired today, but enjoying listening to your show. Oh no, of course. And if you want to just lurk, that's no problem. I appreciate you no matter what, Ray. Thank you very much for being here. You know, meme culture, I feel like, has become like this new front of the culture war in general, right? Where it's like, and it's almost like a front that nobody really saw coming. But in retrospect, I don't really know how you could have ever avoided it, right? Oh, radar scanner. Oh, that's very good. I don't really know how you ever could have avoided it, because it's like you have these specific like things. Oh, this is so good. You have these like specific like images and memes and what have you, right? That are like, or maybe not even that. Maybe moving back even a step further, you have like these sweet. You have these platforms which make it incredibly easy to create viral content, right? Like viral content can be easily created and then propagated out onto these platforms, for better or for worse, right? And because of that fact, there are, you know, there are some different like considerations that need to be taken now as a result, which never had to exist in the past, right? Oh, Henricky4, thank you so much for the biddy. I appreciate you. I really need to get like some bid emotes and like some fun things going on when people do bits, and like just like a bit tracker. It's on my list. It's on my list. I got a lot of things on the list. There's a lot of things on the list. But it feels like, because I mean, like for example, like if a meme can be created and then it can be propagated out to the point where the original creator of the meme has no control over it anymore, which is terrifying, right? Like the idea that like a piece of your property and your intellectual property could be created and then perverted into something that you never intended or never anticipated, right? Like for example, I know that Pepe has become a symbol of white supremacy. Like the white supremacists have like taken him over, right? To the point where the original creator of Pepe like showed an image on Twitter of him in like a funeral, like in a casket, because the original owner was just like, we can't use this anymore because it's been co-opted by white supremacists, which is just wild, right? Like, it's we're creating like new fronts on this culture war that we're not even able to even conceptualize, right? And it's like disinformation paired with propaganda is incredibly dangerous. You know, because people start to like spread this stuff and they don't even know what they're intending. I mean, the Bernie gloves thing lasted 2 days, which was a huge turnover. Yeah. Man, the Bernie gloves thing, that was so good. That was great. Right. It's really fascinating because some things become like this perpetual propagated meme, like Pepe, and then some things are just like a little bit more fad like with the Bernie thing, right? Where it was just like people. I mean that picture was fucking iconic, like of Bernie sitting there with the gloves on, like that has like heavy iconic energy, you know, like I mean. Like, I like Bernie, like, personally, quite a bit. Like, I have some disagreements with some of his perspectives, which I think is fine, and I think is an important thing for any governing society, any functioning society. I think that it can be incredibly dangerous and problematic to deify and, you know, and have an issue with, you know, criticizing your representation. Because, motherfuckers, they work for fucking us, dog. You know, they're our representation. We pay their we pay their salaries, right? Like one way or the other, you know. And you know, obviously that phrase is used like a lot, usually in terms of like stupid bullshit, you know. But like we literally pay their salaries. It should be expected as a free society that we will criticize our representation, like. And I feel like having that criticism is as important as saying why we agree with them, you know, because it's like it's an important aspect to say. Now that's different than saying, well, I think that, you know, gay people or trans people or what have you don't have the right to exist. Like that's like obviously not a valid perspective. Like it's I feel like there's just been this very strange like shift of conversation about like when we talk about politics, right? Or disagreeing with someone's perspective, disagreeing with whether or not somebody has the right to exist is not politics. It's about you just being an asshole, right? People really glorify politicians. Yeah, exactly. Like, and I feel like, you know, like when you have this discussion, like, well, I disagree with this politician's perspectives on something. I feel like there is like this heavy energy of like, oh, well, you just don't believe in gay rights or something like that, which is not the case, right? Because I really truly believe that you can't say that you believe that certain people shouldn't exist or don't have the right to exist or don't have the right to freedom, happiness, the pursuit of happiness, liberty, etc., because you don't like that they exist in the first place. Like that's not politics, in my opinion. That is insanity. Like that's just like it's not politics to say that. it shouldn't be politics to say that you don't believe that. It shouldn't be politics to say that you believe that gay people should exist and have the right to get married and have rights and be able to, you know, have hormone therapy or whatever. It's not an opinion or it's not political to be like. I don't think that. Instead, you're just a douchebag. You're just an asshole. Like, why? You're just an asshole. Why are you like this? Nobody likes you. Like, what's wrong with you, dude? Like, it's really not hard, you know. And that's not politics, right? Arguing that people shouldn't exist is not politics. That's just hatred, just literally, right? But that being said, with that caveat, like it is important to disagree with our politicians. It's just like not a point of being able to disagree with them about fundamental human rights, I guess, is where I'm going with that. But yeah, the glorification of politicians, it just kind of boggles my mind a little bit because it's like, why? I mean, like these people are meant to represent us. And if they're not representing us, then why are they still in office? You know, it just like it never made any sense to me that like it really feels like senators and Congress people and stuff like that, especially Republican ones, are like this incredibly protected class of people. You know, like at least the Democrats will attempt to hold hold them accountable, right? Like hold anybody who does bullshit accountable. At least they'll attempt to. I'm not super up on the political scene, but at least they'll like. I just have a lot of opinions, but at least they'll like try. You know, there's no like. There's no like, well, will we even hold them accountable, right? Because they're on our side, right? No, it's like, no. The Democrats will be like, nah, if you're doing fucking shady bullshit, we don't want you anymore, right? Like, I remember it was like, there was this huge, like, disassociation that was going on with the whole Jeffrey Epstein, who didn't kill himself, by the way. This huge disassociation with Jeffrey Epstein being like, oh, yeah, well, what if it, like, because I believe that there had been some association with the Clintons as well as Trump and, like, Prince Henry and all these other individuals, right? And there was, like, this like, I remember seeing threads online being like, oh, see, well, what happened? What if it turns out that the Clintons are sex predators or pedophiles or what have you? Are you going to turn against them then? And everybody that I saw was like, yes, of course. Are you fucking stupid? I don't care if the people are on my side, if they're rapists and sex predators. Like, what is wrong with you? Like, it's called morality? Like, what? It doesn't matter if they're on our side, if they're bad people, right? Like, which just seemed to be, like, such a concept that people didn't understand. Which boggled my mind. Like, yeah, no, I don't want the bad people on my side. I don't want that. Why would I want that? There are literally hundreds, if not thousands, of other people that are just as qualified, more intelligent, or better suited for that position than that person is. And they've gotten it due to, like, various reasons, such as wealth and, oh, I love this area. Such as wealth and opportunity and stuff. You know, it really feels like, not that it was handed to them necessarily, but, you know, they use their position and their clout in order to be able to get themselves into better positions, which, you know, I can't necessarily fault them for, other than maybe the ways that they generated such income, you know, because there is no ethical consumption under capitalism, and, you know, basically we live in a fucking dystopia. But, you know, other than those cheery points, like, it just really feels like the clout that we see associated with these politicians, it just doesn't make sense. Like, it just doesn't make sense. Like, these people are meant to be public servants, right? They're meant to serve us, and instead all they do is serve self-interest and corporate interests, right? Which is just like, if that wasn't the case, then why are we having such a trouble getting rid of Citizen United? If that wasn't the case, why does the FDA and the what's the one that I'm looking for? Maybe it is the FDA. Why? Yeah, I think it is the FDA. Why are the FDA so chill with fucking everybody using pesticides? And, you know, they discovered that a pesticide that Monsanto uses is causing the fucking colony collapse syndrome with bees, which is one of the most important insects on the planet, right? They pollinate like 90% of our plants. Like, if the bees dies, we're gonna fucking die very shortly thereafter. You know, it's a very famous quote, and for good reason. You know, bees are important, and I'm sure Sloops would agree. You know, I know Sloops would agree with that one. I'm just expecting Sloops to show back up now and go, bees? Somebody mentioned bees? Ooh, what's this? I'll take it. Oh, I can't. But yeah, it's like corporate interest. It's clear that corporate interests control our lives, right? Yeah, Skelly is just like, I'm just imagining Sloops being like, my ears are burning. Someone's talking about bees nearby. But yeah, it's just like, you can't say that our corporate interests or our public interests aren't literally in control or being controlled by corporate interests. Oh my god, I'm gonna fucking die. Are being controlled by corporate interests. Sloops will come into my channel like, you talking shit, bro. Wait for it. It's gonna happen. But you literally can't argue against the fact that basically our entire lives are you know, established via corporate interest or you know, via the interest of the state. I also recognize that I definitely have some European and British friends in the chat right now, so I do apologize if this isn't necessarily the most relatable of statements, or maybe it is incredibly relatable. I'm not sure. Uh, I do know that there's some not so. Oh god, there's a lot more. I do know that there's some not so great stuff going on over in the UK in regards to governance and. Oh god, why is there a car alarm going on? Oh, you guys can't hear that. In terms of governance and basically what I believe to be like the British version of the Conservatives, the Tories. I know that there was quite a bit of major issues going on with that, especially since I think Brexit happened, which was ages ago at this point. But I'm literally talking about things that I don't know very much about already. Talking about British politics would be basically beyond the pale. But it's like in America, I can't. Our government is a mess. Yeah. I mean, I feel like that might be true in a lot of places right now. Yeah. I feel like that. Unfortunately, I feel like that's going around quite a bit recently. That things are just kind of fucked. And I really truly do believe that it is. It's the fault of corporate interests. These powerful mega corporations are fucking with our societies at large. And manipulating them for what's best for their profit in both an ecological and a cultural fashion. It's more than insustainable, shall we say. But I know, as an American growing up, I can't tell you how many times that we were taught about the food pyramid, right? And my chagrin when I found out, the food pyramid isn't real. You think it's healthy for people to have 5 servings of bread per day? Y'all gonna freaking die. Bread makes you fat? And of course, the freaking entire food pyramid was created it was created by the government because they wanted to sell more grains and they wanted to sell more dairy products, right? Let them eat bread, exactly, right? And then, don't even get me started on freaking sugar and fat. Don't even get me started on that. Our entire culture and society are dictated in ways that we don't even recognize about corporate interest, colonialism, and xenophobia, more or less. I'm not the most learned person to be talking about this. I just have opinions on stuff. I have no problem saying that I know I at least have a general idea of where my edge of knowledge is, and I recognize the absolute breadth of knowledge that exists, and that my very small vein of knowledge does not even include. But I just have a lot of opinions, and if I say something off base, absolutely feel free to call me out. I would very much appreciate it. I am also a human being who is 100% fallible, and I don't want to be offending nobody. If I say something weird, do please call me out. I would appreciate that. It's just seeing some of this stuff it's horrifying more than anything. I remember there was a news article I read ages ago about it was a Canadian news article, and it was all about how in schools, for whatever reason, for the obvious reason of talking about colonialism and the fact that we stole and then raped the fucking Native Americans off of this land is difficult. Imagine how bad it was for the fucking Native Americans, right? Yeah, but in this Canadian school, they were talking about instead of saying they basically whitewashed the Trail of Tears, or the Canadian version of the Trail of Tears, and went, so when the Europeans showed up, the Native Americans made way and they gave space to the Europeans for them to live on. And it's that's really how you're gonna paint it? You have no problem painting it like that? That's fucked, dude. Not only is that wrong, but it's fucking insulting. That's just, what a disgusting. I just remember being so blown away by the fact that they were we're just gonna completely whitewash history, and talking about colonialism and the fact that people did shit that was real bad in the past is hard, so we're just not gonna talk about it. Whatever. Oh, instead they just gave them the land. Isn't that nice? And there was no bloodshed whatsoever, and everybody was peaceful, and it was great. Timbo has thoughts, and I enjoy listening to them. Hey, thanks, Ray. I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, it's just like fucked. It's just fucked. How do I do slam? I can't imagine, like, you know, it feels like, it really feels like schools, especially at younger ages, like in grade school and stuff like that, it really isn't so much about learning, and it's more about A, daycare, but B, indoctrination, you know? Like, can we just not stop doing the Pledge of Allegiance? That shit's fucking creepy as shit, dude. Like looking back on that, that's like the fucking creepiest thing. Like, we all stand up in the room at the same time in the school, and then we say the pledge all at the same time in unison with each other. Like, pledging ourselves to the country? Like, what the... yeah, right? Skelly knows what the fuck I'm talking about. It is super fucking weird. Like, it's just, like, it just feels like mass indoctrination. Like, apparently states have they have songs? Like, they sing a full fucking song at the beginning of school? I can't even imagine that. Like, I just, like, it blows my mind that it's like, they're just like, yeah, make sure you sing along with the pledge. Look it up. Yeah, that sounds incredibly creepy, right? It's just like, it doesn't feel, again, it feels like it might have served a purpose in the past, you know, like maybe during the Cold War or what have you, but like nowadays, it just feels more than pointless. It feels like just pure indoctrination, especially considering like all the fucked up shit that's been going on, you know, talking about like indoctrination in terms of like QAnon and you know, the cult of Trump, right? It really feels like a certain subsection of the population was like indoctrinated and conditioned to believe this kind of craziness, right? Oh God, please don't drop to the edge. Like, the best example that I can think of is literally Brave New World, which is such a good fucking book. If you haven't read Brave New World, oh my God, that's like one of those high school books that's like totally worth the read. Like, Brave New World it's fucked, but it's so good. It's such a good novel, and I love that book so much because like we were talking about earlier, it's like the parallels between it and the real world are so fucked up and so realistic, and it's terrifying, right? Like, it totally feels like what goes on in Brave New World could happen. So, long story short, basically in Brave New World, people aren't born anymore. Instead, they are made in test tubes in the perfect society, right? And so there are no parents anymore. They're made specifically for specific causes and specific purposes. And whenever a new batch of people is made, they would artificially, the scientists in this universe had discovered that basically if you pump a certain level of oxygen into the unit, into the test tube, the intelligence of the babies would change, right? So they made entire casts of people based on intelligence. So they made certain people really, really smart, and these are like the scientists of the generation, right? Of the society. And then they made people really stupid, and these are meant to be the workers, right? And then after they were born, they indoctrinated them using conditioning. So like when they were children, like laying in their cribs, they would have like sirens blaze when a certain thing was going on, in order to make the child scared of it, right? And then when they were introducing like something good that they wanted to have a positive effect on them, to be conditioned in a positive way, they would give them like candy or something like that. It's like, it's so interesting, like, and like the way that society acts in that book series, or in that book rather, is so fascinating, because it's like like the idea of like everybody has their own cast of people that they were made and they belong to because they were literally designed from the conception of you are going to be this kind of person and you are going to fulfill this role in society, and we've made it so that way if you're a worker, you're not smart enough to be able to question your station, right? You're just not even, you don't even have the conception of the box, right? Like it almost feels like a little bit of like Plato's allegory of the cave, right? Where it's like, if how do you, and I feel like that's kind of what happens later on in the book is that like the in the allegory of the cave, there are a group of people that are sitting in front of a cave wall with a fire behind them, and all they've ever seen throughout the entirety of their lives is just their shadows. Until one day, one of them gets taken out of the cave, and he gets shown the real world, and he gets shown how things actually are. And so eventually that guy goes back to the cave, and he tries to tell the other people that are watching the wall, hey, no, that's not reality. The real world is out there, and we can go explore it. And then everybody goes, no, this is reality. This is all that we've ever known. It can't possibly be anything more than this, right? And despite the fact that that's not true, right? Despite the fact that there are, that reality isn't the way that it is, they've been so conditioned and they've lived their lives so far to believe such a thing that anything else, unless they're forcibly being shown, is just madness, basically. Tabletop RPG where someone doesn't say the pledge in school and gets sent to another dimension. That sounds awesome. You son of a bitch, I'm in. That sounds great. How do I do the slam? Come on and slam. How do I do the slam? Hold the button. There we go. I really, really like that, the writer of Brave New World, Aldous Huxley, he was actually good friends, and I believe he was mentored by Orson Welles? No. Whoever wrote 1984. I can't remember who that is. Who wrote 1984? Either way, he was mentored by that individual who wrote 1984, and I always thought that there's this really interesting analysis between those two books because they're very similar in nature, but I can't remember whether or not it was like, basically it's like one is if 1984 is if like the people trusted reality. Man, I can't remember the exact metaphor between my mic. There we go. I can't remember. George Orwell. Thanks, Goldmoon. Appreciate you. What did I say? Orson Welles? Is that even a person? Orson Welles. Oh wait, he wrote War of the Worlds, didn't he? Who am I thinking of? Anyways. Because in 1984, the people are a little bit more aware of society and like what's kind of happened in their culture, at least a little bit, while in Brave New World, everybody is so indoctrinated and so like high on the designer drugs that they create in order to keep people placid, and nobody even recognizes that they're like slaves, basically. Really, really interesting stuff. There's this other really good book too that I really like. This makes me so angry because the book is called Shades of Grey, but it sounds like 50 Shades of Grey, but it's a fucking different book. But and the book that I like, Shades of Grey, it came out before 50 Shades of Grey did. So technically, the book that I like came first. Just wanted to point that out because that pisses me off that they named a smut novel after this, like one of my favorite books. Like I really, really like this story. It's a really interesting one, and it's by Jasper Fforde, and the book is about, it's a dystopic fiction novel where in this world, for the most part, nobody can see all the colors anymore. For whatever reason, they have evolved. The people have evolved in such a way that they can't see all the colors anymore. Instead, they can only see one specific color, right? and any other color is just like muted shades of gray, more or less. Like they might have tones of it, but for the most part, it's they everybody sees everything in shades of gray except for this one color of which they are primary. And whatever color you do see the most prominently, that becomes your class in society. And so the reds are the most common of the colored vision people. So they are like the lowest in society, with the highest level being violets. The violets in society, because violet is the most rare. At least that's the reasoning. And the reason why they're segmented like this is because, despite nobody being able to see color fully and truly, they have these things called colored gardens, which are basically like these communal properties which are artificially colored. So they come in full color. However, they are tuned to whatever vision or whatever spectrum of color like you see. So like if you're in a yellow city, right, and they have a color garden, the yellow city's color garden will be tuned to look correct if you have yellow colored vision, right? If you show up and you're a red and you have yellow colored vision, certain hues and saturations and stuff will be messed up, like if it's incorrect because it's not balanced towards your viewpoint. And that's why these different individuals and these different castes exist, because the artificial coloring requires sourcing of actual color, right? And so they use actual color to pump into these artificial gardens, so that way people can see in what would be considered true color if it's like generated for, or if it's been like skewed for their perspective. It's like really heavy conceptualization, because it's like you're really having to picture like what these other perspectives are, when it's almost like near impossible, because it's like I don't know what it would be like to be only able to see the color red and every other color is in black and white. And then you go into this garden where everything is in color, but depending on what color you see, it might be skewed. It's really, really interesting. And like the main character's father is what is basically the equivalent of a doctor, but he, instead of using like surgery tools or medicine, instead he uses colors. And depending on what color the people can see, he can use different like shades and different tones of different colors to invoke like medical reactions in them. It's just, there's so much interesting shit going on in that book. I really, really like it. And it's dystopic. And swan attacks are the #1 cause of death in that series, in that universe. That's what they say, that swan attacks are the number one murder. It's like, it's just so good. There's just so much wacky shit. If you haven't read any novels by Jasper Fforde, I would recommend that one. It's a fun wacky universe. And Jasper Fforde just does such good writing. I really like his writing. He's I know he lives in the UK, but I'm not 100% sure where in the UK. And he's got like a lot of other really good book series that are really good. He's a very interesting author. I have quite a few of his series that are quite good. Another series of his that I really like is called Thursday Next, and it follows the story of a woman named Thursday Next. She's the main character, and Thursday lives in this bizarre alternate reality London set in like the 1980s. Or she lives in Swindon, actually. I believe the book series takes place in Swindon, and she lives in this bizarre 1980s version of reality in functionally like the UK, right? And they have all this bizarre, wacky technology, and like it's semi-futuristic despite it being in the 80s. And like they have this like there's too much to unpack there, but basically, like, so Thursday, she works for this division of the government called Spec Ops. And Spec Ops are basically like different forms of policing agencies that are too weird to deal with the normal police business, right? Like, so this is like all kinds of stuff, from anywhere from like dealing with like rampant genetic chimeras that have been created and are running amok. That's like a whole division dealing with genetic chimeras, because like there was like this homegrown geneticist boom in like the 70s where people were like really into making their own creatures and monsters and stuff and bringing stuff back to life, to the point where like dodos have become like dodos were brought back and now are like a new invasive species, like akin to like pigeons and stuff. Like, it's very clever. And the Chrono Guard, who are like a series of like basically time police, and it's awesome. It's super cool. But Thursday, she works for the division of Spec Ops called Litratech, which is all about books and literary crime and book crime. And so like we're talking like people who are making like fake copies of like original manuscripts of Shakespeare, and like heisting very rare and valuable manuscripts, that kind of stuff. And it's very, very clever and funny. But in the first novel, The Air Affair, the book character Jane Eyre, she gets kidnapped from her novel, and like she goes missing. And this affects every single copy of Jane Eyre. Like at one point in the book, like the character, like another character, shows up and then kidnaps her, and then the rest of the pages of the book are just blank. and so like it's really interesting. Basically, like Thursday ends up like getting this ability, or like maybe not even ability, but she ends up like being able to go into like the world of books, and like it's really interesting and entertaining. If you like, it's got like so many literary references in it and stuff. It's just like, it's a lot of fun. It's just a really silly, like very very ridiculous book series, and it's just like a lot of fun. Oh my god, there's too many magma worms. I'm just gonna die. I think I'll die. I think I'm just dead. I think I'm just dead. I think I might be dead. I've got 300 life. Spider-Man away! Can I just stand here for a minute? I got some mushrooms. Oh, shit. And yeah, you know, I'm really into like strange and funny book series. Like if I find something, even if it's like not, I think that's like almost like the best part about reading in general, is that like there are just so many different books. It's just wild, right? Like there are so many different novels and stories. You're not dead. I know. It's a miracle. Praise Jeebus. Give it a second though. I'm sure that will be proof false. I really love how in stories or there are just so many different types of stories and novels and stuff that like there's this like really, really great quote by Lemony Snicket that I really, really like, because I participated in NaNoWriMo unsuccessfully several years ago at this point. NaNoWriMo is National Novel Writing Month, which takes place in November. It's really a really cool thing, actually, where you try to write 50,000 words in a single month. It's quite challenging. I've never completed it personally, despite a couple of attempts. But I really like this one quote that they sent. Like they were sending inspirational like messages and stuff, during that time frame. And I really, really like the one that they sent out from Lemony Snicket, who was talking about how, like, to summarize, because they wrote it in such a like a beautiful and elegant way, is that like why, like, basically the question of why bother writing a book, why even bother, right? Like everybody, it's the future now. We're all flying around on flying cars and with like jetpacks and everything. Like we don't need, why do we even need books anymore? And like why even go through the process of handcrafting this huge and like incredibly ornate world and stuff like that? And basically the answer to his own query was that, like, you never know who it's going to affect and impact. You know, you never know who's going to get into that. Like, you might build that canoe or whatever, what have you. I believe in this metaphor, it was like a gondola, right? A beautiful handcrafted gondola. And the idea of like, you know, you never know who's going to use the gondola, right? Like, you never know who it's going to resonate with. You never know if, like, if at a hard time in somebody's life, somebody's gonna find that gondola and then make use of it. You know what I mean? Like, and then that they're gonna like you need this gondola as like a life raft, you know, as a life preserver. And I found that to be really like uplifting and like the very zen, you know, like you never know how your books are going to be come across, or who it's going to impact, you know, or the depth of it, right? Which again brings to mind just another quote of like, I'm not sure if this is a Terry Pratchett quote or if this is if he was inspired by somebody else by this one, but like the idea of like a life well lived and death, you know, like that nobody is truly dead until every ripple of their existence is gone, right? Nobody is truly dead until like the last memory of them has left people's minds, until their name is no longer spoken, right? Until the ripples of their existence like fade completely from the pond, right? And that includes stuff like writing, like books and stuff, right? Like, you know, I believe, unfortunately, like the 2-year anniversary of Terry Pratchett's death was like this past week or so, and I saw that on Twitter. I saw somebody post that, and I was like, oh man. And like, I remember when Terry Pratchett, when he died of those a couple of years ago, I was like heartbroken because I really liked Terry Pratchett, and I still do. I really like his voice and just his, you know, just everything about Terry Pratchett's novels, Discworld, like, and all the other stuff that he made. He was just a dude that got it, you know. Terry Pratchett just like, he got it, you know. And it, you know, he would write these books that were like, you know, I could wax poetic about it, but it's just like that I feel like his you know diatribe on death and like experience and like having people, you know, having your existence not, oh god, I'm gonna die for sure this time, having your existence not be like, your existence is still meaningful and relevant, you know, until like the last ripple of your experience and your life is kind of left, which is, you know, kind of impossible, right? Because those ripples create other ripples, right? One thing leads to another, and then, you know, like I find it fascinating the way that like stories and like and information like that like propagate out, and because of that, like people do live forever in a very fascinating and interesting way, right? Like these scientists and these scientists and philosophers and like mathematicians of lore, right? Like Aristotle, Ptolemy, what's the name of the guy that, was it Aristotle that figured out that the planets go around? No, Copernicus. Like all these people who made these legendary like understandings and insights to human knowledge, right? Like they're never going to be forgotten, right? They are basically like, they're legends in their own right, and not even fake legends, but real legends too, right? Because they created these incredible and, you know, what's the word that I'm looking for? Impactful pieces of, you know, an addition to human understanding that has really like impacted our culture and society on fundamental levels. You know, it's fascinating, you know, and the ripples beget more ripples, you know. Even if you take something like you know, like other stories that people wrote, right? Like for example, Tolkien's never going to be forgotten for many number of reasons, but mainly because he's also he created the modern conception of what we consider to be fantasy nowadays, right? Like the conception that, yeah, you know what, let's just get wild. Let's take some deal with the devil items. Gain a massive boost to all stats, chance to gain an affliction that reduces all stats. That seems terrible. Fuck that. Take my cheeky little healing item. What's this? Reduce the speed of teleporter charging, but reduce the size of the room. That's absolutely useless. That might be the most useless item I've ever seen. Randomly create a ward of power. All characters deal bonus damage in that ward. That seems good. What's that? I thought there was something green. But yeah, I like, there's this conception that, and I agree with it, that like scientists are standing on each other's shoulders, you know, like, which I think is awesome. Like, I really, really like this mental picture of, you know, of that, like, these scientists they work together, and now because of one scientist's, you know, contribution, it led the way and allowed all these other contributions to be made, you know, and it's really fascinating in my opinion. Ooh. Because it all adds on to itself, right? Like, people like our scientists, like in modern times, are able to do fascinating, incredible things because of all this foundation and research and stuff that were done by these older scientists, philosophers, mathematicians, geneticists, botanists, etc., etc. You know, they created this modern fundamental understanding for us to be able to use and then like improve upon. And I just think it's interesting because it's like we're truly standing on the shoulders of giants in both terms of technology but in culture as well, right? Because culture totally adds onto itself, you know. Culture isn't just a stagnant and isn't just a stagnant thing. It adds to itself, right? That they say that there are no original ideas anymore, but I think that that's been true forever, right? People haven't had original ideas since Gilgamesh came out, you know? It's like, and even then, it's like these stories and stuff are fundamental to our society and our understanding of self, you know? I just really find that the way that, like, oh God, I'm gonna for sure die here. It's doing nothing personnel kid shit, and I don't like it. Oh, that worked. But yeah, you know, it's like I really like the way that, you know, and I think it's fascinating the way that pop culture and media, in addition to science, also like it you know, it begets itself, right? Like, it's almost cyclical, right? Come here, bastard. Oh, I'm dead. Come back soon. Screw you, Mithrix. It's a good run though. So that's usually about where my runs get to on medium. I usually get to the end boss and then he just smokes my ass. I don't really know what to do about that. But this is a good run though. I think we're gonna go ahead and wrap up there. Man, some really good conversations pretty much all throughout. I want to go ahead and give a mad shout out to everybody who came by and supported the stream today, for tuning in, chatting, pardon me, all that good stuff. I appreciate all you guys. Y'all rock. Thank you so much for hanging out, lurking, chatting. I said that already. Thanks everybody. I also want to give a special shout out to Sloops, who subscribed, and JTTG for the raid, and Henrik for the biddy. Thank you for that. Or Henrique, which is awesome. It's been lovely hanging out. Oh, thanks, Ray. I really appreciate that. And Simmershi for the follow as well. Yes, thanks to everybody for coming by, supporting the stream. You guys are awesome. Let's go see about throwing a cheeky little raid. Let's go throw some raid love. Oh, if you guys wouldn't mind ever so much hanging out for just a brief moment as I see who's online, so we can send some love their way. All right, who's live right now? Who is live right now? Oh, you know, I see Dungeon Mouser. I see Dungeon Mouser is streaming Spiritfarer. So let's go ahead and throw some love their way. Oh, okay. What were you said? Hit me with your suggestions, Kelly. What you thinking? I was gonna say AOL, but I haven't seen Dungeon Master. Oh, okay, yeah, Dungeon Master. Dungeon Master is a really cool non-binary streamer. Their pronouns are they them, and they're an incredibly cool cat. So yeah, let's go. Let's give some love to Dungeon Master. I really got to come up with a raid message too. I think it'll involve emotes, but I'm not sure. Yeah, Dungeon Master, they're real cool, and they also do one shots on their channel as well. They're a real cool cat. Let's go ahead and start raid. But yeah, I just want to again say thank you to everybody for showing up. I go live Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern Standard with some extra special stuff, throwing in occasionally one shots here and there, you know, what have you, which I of course post and talk about leading up to it. But yeah, if you enjoyed the stream, I would appreciate a follow so that way you could know when we go live next time. You know, just think about it. But yeah, thanks again, everybody. I appreciate you so much for being here. Let's go ahead and send that raid. Alrighty, so long. I'll see you guys Wednesday. Well, I'm sure I'll see some of y'all later, but see you guys Wednesday. Bye. I gotta get Dungeon Master open before.